When I was a kid, there was this elite prep school that popped up a couple miles down the road from my house. It was very small, just a few trailers, on the side of a long abandoned highway. It was an odd placement for a school, because I pretty much lived out in the middle of nowhere, in the backwoods of Oklahoma. The school must have been about an hour drive from any other kid's house near my city. I remember when I was about 11, my mom signed me up for a summer camp there. She really needed to get me out of the house because she was between jobs. And so, even though I didn't want to go, I agreed to it. On the first day of the camp, when my mom dropped me off, I remember it being kind of a strange place. The kids looked really weird. Not in like a physical sort of way, but almost as if they were a bit distracted from reality. Like they were at work instead of school. And the teachers, they were nice, but again, kind of distant. And the really strange thing was, when I got there, they didn't really give us any activities to do. We just kind of sat around in the library in silence while they seemed to be typing on their computers and analyzing these charts. It was more like detention than summer camp, to be honest. I remember lunch was pretty odd, too. They fed us this crazy mixture of what seemed like mashed potatoes and sloppy joes. But the sloppy joes were cold, and the mashed potatoes had little green things in them. I forced down the disgusting potatoes and tossed out the sloppy joe. Then this serious, old-looking teacher, named Mr. Miller, guided us out to the playground in the back for recess. All of the playground equipment was old and rusty. It didn't seem as though any of the kids ever played on it. I got on one of the swings next to a chubby, red-faced boy named Benjamin. He seemed to be the only kid I could actually find. All the other kids seemed to be in the back of the playground, behind this giant brush. I'm not sure what they were doing. I asked him what kind of stuff everyone did for fun at this school, and why everybody seemed so distant. He said he didn't really know. He was the only other kid there that was just part of the summer program and didn't go to the school regularly. Then at that moment, we heard a commotion coming from the back fence of the property. It was strange because when we walked back, all the kids seemed to be much more energetic. They were all crowded around this small boy who was sneaking out under the chain link fence. I asked one of the smaller girls what was going on, and she told me they were just playing the game. Pretty confused, I asked, "What game?" And she turned back to me and just said, "Pickup spot!" Then I saw the little blonde boy take off into some bushes, and he was pretty much gone after that. Then the girl turned back to me again and said, "He's really good, you'll see. You won't believe it." I had no idea what she was talking about, but the way she said it really creeped me out. Then when I saw the kid return, I definitely knew something was off about this place. He squeezed underneath the fence, dragging a dead armadillo by the tail. It was pretty much smushed and had a giant tire mark on its side, indicating it was probably off of the highway. Then the children exclaimed and congratulated him on the find. They kept telling him that this one was going in the collection for sure, whatever that meant. Then the little blonde boy and a few others got together and started dragging the armadillo inside, for the teachers to see, I'm assuming. This was really strange. Why would the teachers want to see a dead animal this kid found? When the boy brought the dead armadillo to the back porch of the school, all the teachers came out and surrounded around. Their eyes widened and it looked like they couldn't believe it, as if it was some sort of lost artifact this kid had found. They then awarded the boy with a gold star and took the armadillo inside with them. A trail of blood dripped behind them as they walked in with it. I later told my mom about this, but she was tired from a full day of work and didn't seem all that concerned. She said that they were probably just doing some kind of science project, and that we would ask them about it the next day when she dropped me off. That night, though, I had a really strange dream. In it, I was running through the woods looking for animals, like in the pickup spot game. Then I found this bleeding fox in some bushes, and when I went to grab it, it turned its head and gazed at me. Its mouth was red with blood. Then it horrifyingly said to me, "Trust us." The next day I really didn't want to go back, but somehow I just forced myself with emotions. My mom asked me if I was okay, and I just told her I just wanted to get through the day. When we got to the school, my mom asked Mr. Miller what was going on with the roadkill the day before. He just told her pretty much what she had already thought. He said they were just doing a little science experiment for the science club, and that they were attempting to collect specimens of every type of different species in the local area. I guess this made sense, but it still felt pretty fishy to me. Why would they have been so excited about it? Anyways, that day was pretty much the same thing all over again, even though the teachers were even less involved in what the kids were doing this time. At lunch, after I had figured out a way to dispose of the awful sandwich, I sat and looked out the window for a little bit. I saw one of the teachers out on the playground by herself, searching around on the ground for something. Then excitedly her hand shot down and she scooped up a little green lizard. Her face perked up like a little kid, and then she ran back to a teacher's trailer, separated from all the other ones. I then tried talking to Benjamin a little bit again, but he was a lot quieter. The only thing that he would tell me was that he couldn't wait to go play that game when the other kids went out to recess. Once we were out at recess, the vibe seemed a little bit different. The teachers were actually all watching us very closely. Mr. Miller was even walking around with a clipboard, writing as he asked kids to climb and swing on the playground equipment. If they would do well, he would grab them by the hand and take them inside, and I wouldn't see them come back out again. Then I saw one of the other teachers analyzing Benjamin as he mindlessly swung on the swings. With all the teachers distracted and out of their trailer, I felt like I should take this opportunity to see what was really going on. So I snuck away and went over to the teacher's trailer. The door was locked, but I saw that there was a window around the side of it. I climbed up a small tree and peered into the window of the trailer. At first I couldn't really tell what was inside, but then I noticed this cylindrical glass tube with the armadillo from yesterday inside of it, floating inside some substance. I climbed out on a limb and looked a little closer. That was when I saw what was really going on. There were hundreds of those tubes, with all sorts of wildlife floating inside them. Then there was a number of strange glass touchscreen looking things on the walls, with data and numbers scrolling up and down. Most of it was gibberish, and appeared to look like a system of lines and symbols. At the top there was something that was very recognizable though. It looked like some sort of clock counting down, and it was almost at 0. Then on a bulletin board at the back, I saw several photos of students, including one of Benjamin and one of me. I guess I must have got too far out on the branch because it snapped, dropping me 10 feet to the ground. All the teachers suddenly looked over at me. I shuddered with fear as all of them in unison began to bolt towards me. I took off running as fast as I could, with only one place to go. I ran straight to the back of the playground and squeezed myself underneath the fence. But when I was about halfway through, Mr. Miller grabbed my ankle and tightened his grip hard. He let out this deep bellow from his mouth, almost like some kind of strange, twisted laugh, only it definitely didn't sound like something that could be made by a human. Terrified, I grabbed a handful of sand and tossed it in his eyes. I instantly got to my feet and took off toward the nearby highway. I pulled out my phone, panicking, but there was no reception out at this place. I'm sure that the teachers, or whatever they were, wanted it that way. I ran toward the highway that was near the school and tried to wave down a car. I looked back and saw the teachers all scrambling after me, in rage. Finally, I saw a pickup truck driving toward me and I waved it down. They saw the teachers fiercely in pursuit and had me jump in the back of the truck quickly. I hopped in as one of the female teachers got to the road and grabbed at me. She scratched me all the way down my arm as the truck took off and left them in the dust. Luckily, the driver was a nice man and willing to take me straight to the police station. Only when we went back with police officers later that day, not only were the teachers gone, so was the building and everything else. It honestly looked as if it had vanished from the face of the earth. Even after months of investigating, the police were never able to track down the missing kids that attended that school that day. And they were also never able to identify any of the teachers that were supposedly working there. I suppose we'll never truly know what happened to them, or what they were going to do to me if I had stayed. One thing I'll always know for sure, though, is that the world we live in isn't always as controlled and predictable as we think it is. Sometimes even something as normal as a school summer camp can take you from this world forever. I hope you all enjoyed this scary story and want to hear more. Go ahead and click that subscribe button to keep up to date with all the original terrifying tales I'll have to show you. I'll be releasing one new one each month, along with other awesome creepy content peppered in throughout. Thanks a lot, and stay spooky, my friends.